Scholesy talks Impact Wrestling. Do you know what, mate? Let's start with a little bit of cool news. So, Impact Wrestling tickets UK are selling well. They're selling quick. I got myself to Newcastle. I've only got the 40 quid ticket. I've only got the ticket that just lets me get in, basically, and I'm happy about that. I'm not bothered about beating wrestlers or anything. I'm at that point in my life, don't really care about that sort of stuff. I just want to be there for the action. I just want to see what's going on, because I think this is going to be absolutely beautiful and fantastic. On a bit of news, oh yeah, by the way, it looks like Wrestle Carnival are releasing another day's worth of tickets for Coventry, by the way. So I'm assuming, maybe, possibly, there might be more tour dates. And I believe that'll be October the 29th, Coventry. I think that'll be the HMV Empire. So that's a good thing, man. That means there'll be 4 days in the UK. That's a super positive for Impact Wrestling. That's a super positive for the wrestling scene in the UK as well. What else? Very exciting itself that Bully and Devon Dudley are going to be reunited at episode 1000 in September. That is brilliant. I'm super excited for that because you can't beat them. They are probably two of the best tag teams of all time, and I think their career in Impact was just as good as WWE, just as good as ECW, so that's fantastic news. A bit of a funny one. I did my episode last week, and I got a message on the old Twitterverse, basically saying I am only an Impact mark. I'm not going to mention who it is, I don't play that game. I'm only an Impact mark. I'm only interested in Impact Wrestling, and I'm negative about every other promotion. Wow. I wouldn't say I was negative about every other promotion. I just don't think every other promotion is as good as Impact. And I think it's a gem, it's a diamond, and I think a lot of people are missing out on probably the best product. But I will say this, and I will say this happily. Sorry, I keep checking my microphone because it keeps going. One of my kids broke it the other day. But I will say this. I was honestly disappointed with the first match of the night. And I will be negative about the first match, even though the in-ring work was absolutely incredible. So, ABC, the Ace and the Bay connection, whatever it is, versus Swan and Sammy. Two former tag team champions. Two former X Division champions versus two former world champions. And this is the second match for the tag tournament. Which last week we know the Rascals won. They cheated, but it is what it is. There's great respect shown at the start of this match between Bay and Swan. For me, Bay and Swan are very similar wrestlers anyway. And it proves how good they equally are very quickly. Because it's an evenly matched element, but Ace comes in quite quick and he starts to finish off the work where Bay began, and starts with a nice Hokarana, and then there comes in with a nice little combo set from Sammy and Swan himself, and there's some nice outside of the ring work in this match as well. Absolutely remarkable cactus driver by Sammy. Bay did this amazing middle rope moonsault and a spine buster to Swan. Click, click, boom, boom to Swan. Very, very Motor City Machine Guns based in that element. People honestly forget how good, I just want to say this, Sami Callinan is for ring work, because he hits his absolutely remarkable double DDT. We move a little bit further on to the match. Swan misses a 450. Ace hits a double kick, a double net break as well. And it is a good match. As the match rolls on, we see a absolutely incredible chicken wing. The art of finesse, the full 1, 2, 3, and this is where, I'm not going to lie, my voice isn't very infused by this match because it wasn't infusing. And then two guys that I think have the potential to be an absolutely remarkable tag team interfere, being the good hands. We have Hotch interfere at the start. We have Skylar interfere around the back, and we see Sammy and Swan win this match. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why that needed to happen. Okay, I'm not sure why it needed to happen. I am not sure why their good hands weren't in the tag tournament, in all fairness, because I think they're well good enough to be in the tag tournament. In my perspective, it was disappointing it ended like that. The match was full of absolutely remarkable and brilliant moves. It was full of moments in that element. As I said, Sammy, you forget how good of a wrestler Sammy is sometimes because of everybody thinks of him being a sort of like a bit of a loon and stuff like that. But he's actually a really, really good in-ring talent. And to end it like that was kind of, come on, Impact. This is the stuff that I complain about AEW about. This is the stuff that I complain about WWE about. Silly things like that doesn't need to happen. Alright? And I get the good hands are on this whole thing where we should be involved in the tag team division. We should have a bit more respect from Santana. We should do this, and that, and this. But it just didn't need to happen. Because this tag tournament, I think the whole entire concept of the storyline is fundamentally built about the Rascals. Unless next week we're going to see Swan and Sammy get sucked into a hole of death and the good hands have to replace them in the tag team tournament final. I don't understand the point of that because Sammy and Swan had the ability to be ABC. Easy peasy, Japanesey. But yeah, so that person that sent me a bitchy message about me not being negative about my favourite product and the product that I think is best in professional wrestling in North America anyway, okay, yes, I started off with a slight negative about the Impact Wrestling concept. The match was good. The ending didn't need to happen. My perspective, my viewpoint is what it is. So now we know it's going to be the Rascals versus Swan and Sammy. And it moves in to an amusing little segment. I love the Coven. I say this every single week. I think the Coven are brilliant. I think Taylor Wilde is brilliant. Good podcast on Impact Plus, by the way. You should check out her podcast. It's top class. So Taylor Wilde walks in. His Santana's there. He's simping his drink. He's having his electrolytes. As he says, he's getting into a moment so he can have the ability to work. He has a break for 30 seconds to rethink his life through. And who turns up? The Coven. The Coven. And Taylor Wilde's initial statement was absolutely brilliant. This is the muggle we are looking for. You know what witches are like. You know what witches are like. And Kings basically holds this viewpoint that why is the Shura Raj getting this, and that for the Impact championships? And basically they say it's a bad decision. It's a bad decision. What are you doing? Blah-de blah blah blah. We should have the rematch. Guess who turns up? The Wayne's World wannabes Rush and Jessica walk into the room and they basically go in, we should have this match. Santana goes, why should you have this match? And the answer is brilliant, because you're awesome. And then basically everybody's looking at them. There's like a moment of sort of confusion. These people are crazy. It's sort of like on drugs or something along the lines of that. And then basically Jessica, all right, and Rush look at each other and they go into a huddle. They go into this amazing, incredible little fun huddle. Santana, who joins the huddle, basically tells them what they should be saying, all right? Not just we are awesome, but they should be saying that, look, we were the former tag team champions. We've actually beaten the Shorterage, blah, 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 blah. There's a moment, Masha, Killer, turn up and says, we'll dig them all on. And that was just great. That was great. Sometimes you say less, it means more. And that was absolutely brill. Brill. Love that segment. Absolutely love that segment. And this next match, oh darn. I like this match more than the first match. And I keep saying to people, sometimes a headlock takedown, chat a little bit of shit, okay? That is better than a 30 to 60 minute flipping crazy ass match. And this match, Dango versus Guja, was exactly what that was about. So Dango is basically thrown out a statement that Santano is not convinced he's a MMA fighter, which is fair enough. Even though Santano actually in that match a few weeks back actually held his own and fundamentally was a lot better than Dango, all right. But he says he doesn't take Gujar seriously as a wrestler either. And we get into the ring. Gujar does a little promo on the little miniature screen there. Dango walks in with Bravo, and I still think it's hilarious that Bravo is his security guard, because all I remember of Bravo and all I care about Bravo fundamentally is him being sort of like Ty Valkyrie's sort of like sort of slave and Rush's maybe husband, and that storyline was actually super funny actually. And he walks in and he goes, "Man, I hate professional wrestling. Man, I hate professional wrestling." And it was brilliant. It was just brilliant. He's just got this ability to be the most unlikable character in wrestling. And I love that. I love that. People might say MJF. People might say Dom Mysterio. But I say it's Dirty Dango, son. Dirty Dango. Doesn't need to do as much as either of them. He doesn't need to talk as much as them. He just needs to be dramatic and be hateful. And so, the match was dead simple. And that was the power of the match. It wasn't any super kicks or 450s. It was headlock takedowns and spine busters and a bit of cheating from Bravo with a flashlight. And then it was a reverse DDT where Dango wins the match. Now, this is the difference. That first match where that match was a high quality in-ring match with loads of competitors, where it was going to eventually push over for Sammy and Swan to win that match, didn't need the cheating concept. But this match kind of did, because that is built on Dirty Dango's character. Okay, that is built on Dirty Dango in the whole element of who he's about. He's in there to be slimy. He's in there to be crude. He's in there to hate you all, and that works from a storyline. So the Sammy stuff didn't work. The Sammy Swan good hand stuff didn't work for me in this episode. And yeah, we talk about this whole concept, the difference between wrestling and entertainment, and this is what Dango's all about. He doesn't like the wrestling. He likes the entertainment. Cha cha cha. You know what I mean? And what happens at this point? Dango starts to spit a promo saying he can smell the sweat and the heat coming off you people. Boom! Jake something comes out. And basically he says, Dango, stop about your bitching about how much you hate professional wrestling in this place and so on, so on, and so on. I worked my ass to get here. Now, I watch a lot of people that do reviews on Impact Wrestling. And I've actually noticed that a lot of these guys that have come back to Impact Wrestling have literally not watched it since 2015. So they don't know who Jake Something is. He was tag team with the Dean. He was in the Deaners. He was a great tag team. Absolutely brilliant before Kobe went over to sort of like working with Violent by Design. He got released for whatever reason. Something went out there to prove himself as a professional wrestler. Impact brought him back in. He's come back in. He's come back in as a powerhouse. He's come back in as a beast. He came to that X Division match the other week, and last week he had a bit of a squash match against a local talent. Brilliant stuff. Him versus Dango, I want to see. It's going to be good stuff. Bravo stands between them, doesn't let the scrap happen. At all. Stands between them like a good security guard. Dango's like doing the sort of like the chicken shit hill sort of like. He rolls out the ring, goes out to come back round the side. Something sees him, takes him down. That is a straight up good little cheeky storyline that's going to happen. Jake Something is an aggressive kind of wrestler. He's going to be coming back in, all right, to this hopefully a little cheeky storyline here. Okay, being a babyface, which is going to be interesting. It's super fun, super interesting all the way. So we crack into a couple of sort of more promos, and this promo is leading off the Eric Young stuff. Now, I am an Impact boy, so I'm buzzed that Young's back. I'm so happy. But Dina isn't. Dina, in this promo, basically says, you're not a phoenix, you're a sheep. You went to green pastures, but you ran away from the shepherd, i.e. Vince McMahon. Okay. And then he basically goes into this and says, look, Angels ran away. Not my fault. I did not foul them. Sammy rang, I did not foul him, but Kong stayed. All right. And basically, he does this whole concept of the big bad wolf, which is super. It's super fun. It's super interesting. We move into another really, really good segment. To be fair, really, really fun and great segment. And the segment I specifically, mate, Johnny Swinger. I love the guy. I just love the guy. He comes in there, and Gio's sort of like basically going, "Look, man, you've got your title match. You've got an opportunity for a title match. Blah blah blah." And he goes, and she goes, "Where's Ziggy?" And he's like, "Who's Ziggy? Who's Ziggy?" And this moves into some funny things. So Kenny King is hilarious, man. He's just absolutely hilarious. I love Kenny King. And he's the right guy to pass the digital media title onto. Was logical because he gets it. He gets the whole sort of like reality concept. And he makes this really, really, really good argument that Shelley's just the world champion, but I'm the the digital media champion. All right, okay. And the digital media is basically the internet champion. And the internet goes to satellites. That means I'm the universal, the galaxy champion. All right? And it's just really, really funny. And it's kind of rounded off with Johnny Swinger just standing there like this. What's the internet? Super fun. Super good. Moving to our next match. And I love this. So there was a little segment last week, wasn't there, with Edwards versus Jody Fret, and basically Jody Fret comes out and says, "I don't like bullies." Prior to that, Alyssa was going, "I run Tracy Brooks out of town," blah blah blah, and this match came up. As everybody knows, I'm an Alyssa Edwards fan. I think she needs a lot more love. I think she needs a lot more sort of higher concepts of being involved in matches. But the Jody Fret match, this was a good match. This was not a bad match at all. And I don't know what the time is. My mate Josh last week was asking me times on wrestling. I didn't write it down because I was actually watching this match. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the storyline between Eddie Edwards, Kaz, Alyssa, Tracy, and now it looks like Jody as well. And this kind of comes into that Mean Girl element. Remember that film Mean Girls with Lindsay Lohan and Rachel McAdams? It's got that kind of feel to it. It's like the new kid comes into school, sees the mean girl, blah blah blah. Alyssa's the mean girl. Jody's coming in to beat the shit out of the bully or embarrass her and stuff like that. It's got that kind of sort of like teenage, late 90s, early 2000s feel to the story, and it's brilliant. And Jody takes advantage of this match really, really quickly. Does a major brilliant suplex very fast and a clothesline, then followed into a suplex. Jody was not given her breathing room. And even when Alyssa had her opportunities of taking the match a little bit further, Jody basically pushed back 150%. And that is always what she is great at. There's a great little movement where Jody went, I believe it was a double knees into a suplex that was going to move into her finishing move. And what happened at that point, Alyssa poked her in the eyes. And then sort of this rounded off a bit more story into the Kaz, the Tracy Brooks stuff, because what happened at that point, Eddie Edwards tripped her up. She falls flat on her face. Okay. And then what happens, Kaz appears, smacks somebody in the noodle. And then basically at this point, Alyssa gets put off and Jody takes advantage. 1, 2, 3 wins the match. The most interesting bit about this is Kaz picks up Kenny the kendo stick. That's what the name is. Kenny the kendo stick. And picks up it, swings back, hits Alyssa into the noggin. And Alyssa falls on her ass. The crowd is going, "You deserve it," basically. But Kaz is going, "I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it. Honestly, didn't mean to do it." So that was a great little match. That was a great little bit of storytelling. That was a great little bit of creative art. Honestly, from the sense of story element, this is my favourite bit of this whole entire match in that way. So yeah, just great little bit. Moves into our next segment where Deonna says, "King, well done. You pinned me." Not many people do that. That's what happened last week in the tag match. And wants the challenger. And I think it will be a well good match. And it's got a bit of storytelling to it because Trinity's first match was against King. Trinity beat King. King pins Deonna. Deonna, I'm assume if she beats King, it's sort of like there's a massive circle here. There's a massive circle and it could be interesting. This is a further reflection of what is happening within bigger storytelling. Now, I just put this on Twitter, and it's a big ass statement, So, everything the first match of the night should have been is this match here. But this is a singles match, and I get that. How it finishes, how it works, and everything like that. I think there is sometimes a difference between having a solid 15-minute match that is pure wrestling and a storytelling match. But a storytelling match has to be done well, like the Alyssa Edwards, Kaz, Eddie Edwards, and the Jodie Fret and the Tracy Brooks storyline telling was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Was class. Not everybody's going to like it, because I hear on some of these podcasts at the minute are going, look, we want more wrestling. No. Impact's not about that. Okay, the product has never been about that. It's been about the concept of entertainment and wrestling, not a 30-minute barn burner constantly, because that doesn't always happen and wrestlers get injured. But this match here, Bayley versus Kushida, wow. I'm going to say this. I've just put it on Twitter that if you are a wrestling fan and you think Impact is shit, like that's all I constantly hear, that is trash fucking wrestling. Okay, sorry for my French here, alright? You are missing out on Speedball Mike Bailey. First of all, Speedball Mike Bailey is one of the best cruiserweight, X Division, junior heavyweight positioning wrestlers in the business. In the business. End of story. End of bloody story. He's better than Orange Cassidy, man. Alright? He's better than Wesley. He's better than all of them guys. He has the ability to be the greatest. Right? Yeah. Alright, he had a couple of years where he couldn't get into the country and stuff like that. But Bayley has that ability. Versus Kushida. Now, Kushida, man, himself is a bloody wrestling legend. Want to fight that? Want to argue with me that? Just have a look at his credentials. Have a look at what he's done in Japan. Have a look at what he's currently doing in Impact Wrestling. He's the ultimate X #1 contender. That's why he wears that big fat X on his neck. Right? And this match was everything I thought it would be, plus 75. Okay? Impact for a few weeks hasn't had what I would call pay-per-view based matches, and it's the right thing. They shouldn't do that. But every few weeks, every 3-4 weeks, it happens. And this was the match. The match was always going to be amazing. This match was always going to be fast moving. This match was always going to be about, okay, who has the edge? Both the wrestlers have a submission game. Both of them like to do massive kicks. Both of them like to do them fast and Motor City machine gun movements. Both of them love to go for the single leg takedowns. And it's crazy because this match was so equal, and basically both of the wrestlers were doing a move and then actually countering the move or grabbing the rope or doing something different like that. It had amazing moments where I think my personal favourite moment, I'm just having a look at my notes where it was, Bayley does this incredible standing shooting star, which he does anyway. And then they go face to face, chop to chop. And there's a baseball slide that pushes over there. And what happens is, at this point, Kushida is going for the hoverboard lock. That's his submission, his main move, and he throws him into one of the posts, the ring post. Kushida sort of like moves things back into the ring, and he starts doing sort of these weird sort of yoga-y push-up moves, and it's actually really funny, all right? Because Kushida goes into doing a sort of like is disarming what Bayley's good at. Bayley is known for his beast kicks. And then Bayley does exactly very similar thing back. He goes for the arms, so he can't do things like the hoverboard lock and stuff like that. And then Kushida, at this point, they jump off the ropes, goes in for another baseball slide. And he goes in for this baseball slide, misses it, and then Bayley does this absolutely cracking, beautiful, gorgeous middle rope moonsault. And the height he got was ridiculous. And as the match goes into it, it's really equal. Bailey misses a double knees, and it goes into the submission, the hoverboard for Kushida. Bailey goes back and does an armbar, and they're rolling around for a little bit. And as I said, Kushida loves doing the single leg takedown, goes for that 5 or 6 times, misses it 5 or 6 times, and it moves towards the end of the match where there's an incredibly brilliant hoverboard lock done off the top rope by Kushida, and he moves into a small package driver, and he wins the match on a 1-2-3 pin. The match, for me, if I'm going to rate it, is a solid 5-star, man. It's just everything you want from a wrestling match. And this is what Impact offers the fans. It offers stories, it offers barn burners, it offers everything. But it doesn't need to be every week. So like the last 2 weeks have been okay weeks. This has been a specifically mixed bag week in a lot of ways. It moves into the next lot of segments in this sense, and I like this bit. Tom and Crazy Steve talk. Crazy Steve wants to talk to the voice of Impact Pro Wrestling, and it's kind of emotional because Steve's got a really, really good point what he's making in these bits and bobs here, because he's saying that everybody leaves me. Abyss left me, okay? Rush and Jessica are doing their thing. Black Taurus is with the Lucha Boys, and basically no one loves me. That's kind of how it came across. And he cracks into the concept about him being legally blind. That's one of the things that's Crazy Steve likes to whack into, which is true fact. And Tom goes, who supports you outside of the ring? And then it goes to be continued, which I'm looking forward to that. It's a great little segment. And then we move into the summer of subculture. Being a Brit, the subculture holding them belts is absolutely incredible. It's really, really good stuff. And they were at Attack Pro over the weekend defending their titles against 2 lads that made a really, really sweet statement on Twitter. They said basically, I used to watch this belt being defended, blah, 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 but now I'm wrestling against it. And they, yeah, of course, Subculture kept the match in that sense, but they're keeping a firm eye on the Rascals versus Sammy and Swan. I love this bit. I think anything with Joe Henry and Una in it at the minute is bloody, bloody hilarious. Joe Henry turns up to a couples counselling because somebody says, say my name, and he turns up, say my name. And then 10 seconds out, Una turns up. Joe Henry's not happy with Una. He said, look, man, we need to go our separate ways. And then Una goes, champions. And then Joe Henry cottons on that they're probably going to join up as a tag team. And they do so, and it looks like they're going to do so. And it's absolutely going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Now, this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. Do you know what I mean? This main event is storytelling at its most beautiful. So we know there's going to be a match at some point in the future. I believe it's at Emergence, where it's going to be Josh Alexander, Shelley, Kushida, and Sabian versus Bully versus Myers, Moose, and Rush. Okay, at some point. And this is building up on the context of this. You have a screen that's constantly being shown in the corner, similar to how Twitch is there in that sense, of them 4 particular wrestlers, Alexander, Sabian, Shelley, and Kushida, watching this match because they're keeping a firm eye on this. This match was at the request of Bully Ray, supposedly, and the match is Bully, Myers, and Moose versus Black Taurus versus Ricardo Kid and Samurai Del Sol. Which, if you don't know who that Samurai Del Sol is, you need to sort of like have a look. It's Kawashida, I believe his name was in WWE. Legit. Amazing junior heavyweight cruiserweight wrestler, so fast. He's from Chicago, so it made sense why he was there. And what happened very quickly in this match, it cuts into a side segment of Rush beating up Samurai Del Sol, and yeah, that's how the match starts. So it's a 3-on-2 match from the beginning, and that's the way Bully likes things, isn't it? He likes it 3-on-2. He likes it to be easier for him in that sense. And it starts off with Black Taurus and Myers, and the great thing about it is I always forget how much I say this every week. Myers is a giant, man. To be fair, Bully's a giant. I didn't realize how big these guys were, and both of them are holding their own for a fair amount of time in there, and Myers can't move Taurus. And you forget how amazing the movement Taurus is, and he can't move him at all. And Taurus basically takes him down about 3 or 4 times, and then we see a tag of Kid coming in, brilliant missile drop, and it's all handling absolutely brilliant. Kid takes advantage of Moose and Myers. His speed takes advantage of him, and it ends up being, all right, a very, 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 very quick match in a lot of ways. Bully wants doesn't want Laredo Kid. He wants to fight. He wants to fight Tarus, and basically he's getting him to punch him, and so Tarus tackles Bully down about 3 or 4 times, and it looks like for a moment that Bully's going to get beaten the shit out of. Myers moves Bully out of this massive ball sort of run he goes for Tarus, okay, and Tarus hits it that hard he goes outside of the ring, so it ends up being a kind of a one-on-one match in a lot of ways. Tarus is thrown back in. We do see Kid come back in. We see Kid hitting 3 or 4 absolutely incredible moves that are eventually broken down by Bully. And Bully goes to take his mask off. And we know as wrestling fans, if you take a lucha's mask off, that is the greatest disrespect in the world. That means you are no good as a lucha and all that sort of jazz. And what happens then? Storytelling, guys. Storytelling. What happens then? The lightning appears everywhere. The room goes black. PCO has returned. PCO has returned. Bully is frozen. Moose is lobbed out the ring. Myers gets a major punch to the face. And Bully is running. Yeah, we do see PCO do his famous PCO. So Kid throws back in Myers. Myers ends up smashing Kid. Myers, in that sense. Okay. And the winners actually, because of sort of like the quickness of it, is Myers, Moose and Bully. But it was the next bit was actually particularly funny because Bully's running out. He's running out. And he's saying, I lit him on fire. He makes it to the car. PCO nearly gets him. PCO is screaming, Bully, Bully. Cuts, finishes. The show finishes. Now, the show itself was an okay show. It was a good show. It was very up and down. I'm not going to say every match was specifically amazing. And sometimes it confuses me where stories are going and the unneededness. It's like with that Ace Austin, Bay, Sammy and Swan match with the Good Hands interference. Didn't think the interference needed to happen. It was unnecessary. But that is my only criticism of the whole entire sort of like show in a lot of ways. I think Impact Wrestling is the most exciting promotion. I think Impact Wrestling offers storytelling and offers wrestling, and this show proves that in a lot of ways. It doesn't get everything right. It's not perfect in that sense. I just think it's the most complete show. And to that hater that sent me that message, I'm not going to call you out on it. Love you lots. Do you know what I mean? You're entitled to your viewpoint. I don't criticise AEW. I think AEW sometimes misses the mark. And I don't think Impact does. Impact doesn't get everything right, but they get majority of things correct. Maybe it's because it's a smaller show. And I do also think Impact understands what doing television's about. It's like there's little things that AEW doesn't do that could be done better in the sense of recaps. Impact always starts the show with a recap, but WWE does that as well, and WWE's live. So I'm not hating on AEW. I'm going to All In. I'm excited about All In. I watched AEW Collision. I watched Dynamite, and I've sort of like gone off Rampage, but I watched Dynamite and Collision majority of weeks, every week in fact, and I think it's a good show. I just think Tony Khan needs to start using his brain, and he does need to bring some creative in. I've heard some rumours that a few people said bring Dutch Mattel in. Dutch Mattel's an Impact legend, the TNA Impact legend. He did loads to the women's division. But I know Dutch Mattel has made it very clear on his podcast recently he would never take a writing job again. But there's guys like Eric Bischoff that do a great job. Everybody knows I'm a Vince Russo mark. So I personally think people like Vince Russo are doing an incredible job as well. I just think the bits that Tony Khan is missing for AEW to become the number one show in professional wrestling, Impact has. Okay, that's my perspective on it. No wrestling show gets everything right every single week, and that's just entertainment. You don't go to a stand-up comedy night and like all 10 acts. You tend to like 3 or 4 of them, and that's just personal preference. That's how it is. But yeah, I am enthusiastic, and one person said it was unrivaled. My enthusiasm for Impact is unrivaled because this is a product that I've followed for the longest. All right, the longest. Yes, I've watched all AEW. Okay, yes, I've watched all NWA, but I've followed this product since you could watch it in TV in the UK. I've watched it on Twitch. I watched it on Challenge. I've watched it on everything, sports, free sports, everything. Okay, Impact Plus is my number one thing in the world. YouTube as well. So listen, guys, all right. I am not a wrestling snob. I just enjoy what I enjoy. And STL said it earlier on. Matt Cordona's mate said, "Watch what you fucking like," and that's what I do. But this is why I think this product's the best. But listen, Scholesy out. Thank you for everybody listening. Talk to you soon.